what's going to happen is when they come home, the parents, everybody is going to be like, what happened? She is not the same person. She's not the same person anymore. And that is scary, because now it's like, even if I could somehow just grab her, take her up north and put her in a cabin somewhere for a year, that isn't going to go away.
No, it never will.
It isn't going to go away. And there are a lot of groups in the country, I found, safe houses, that haven't discovered this aspect of it yet. They don't know, they are not dealing with the mind control, the deprogramming.
That's how I got involved in prostitution, was mind control. That's what he did. He completely switched my whole brain of thinking. And I believe that to this day.
Yeah. Do you have any idea how he did that?
Yeah, he did it by being exceptionally sweet, exceptionally nice, exceptionally loving, and acting caring, and all those good things.
Yeah.
Until after the fact, and then it was beatings.
Yeah.
Because after he had got me conned into believing he loved me, and then it was beatings. I was beat, scars, and broken bones, and everything. I was in 13 years in that life. Don't do it. That's all I can say. Don't do it. It's a life of hell.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pure hell. And there's no good parts to it.
Well, one of the things that happens, I think, is the woman starts looking needy.
Well, yeah, that's who they pick on.
And as soon as that person is needy, like that their boundaries have been broken down, and like they need this guy. I mean, it scares me when I hear that, you know, like my grandson says, 10 girls have been trying to call me and talk to me on the phone. Yeah, you know, I just like, how needy are some of these girls that they've got to be throwing themselves at a guy?
At a kid, at a guy, it's true.
Because we men, being one myself, you know, we start to sniff out if somebody is weakened, and if they're weakened,
that's right.
Then we start to regard them a little differently.
Right.
And you know, I think that I was talking to a woman out in Montana, and she said, I got married when I was 18, and you know, I wasn't ready for anything bad to happen. I thought this was all going to be great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, she said, you know, we got into this marriage, and pretty soon this guy started beating on me. He started emotionally abusing me and then beating on me.
Right.
And, you know, and then it was kind of like it was all my fault.
Well, it always they make you feel like it's your fault.
It was, I was the problem.
It's a mind game.
It wasn't him.
Yeah.
And so she said 10 years later, after I'd gone through all of this, she said 10 years later, somehow we ended up in the office of my pastor.
Oh, that was good.
And my pastor looked at my husband, and he said, and he pointed to me, and he said, "Don't you realize this woman is a child of God?" And she said, for the first time, something went right through her being. And she realized
that
she was worth something, and that what was going on was not something she had to put up with.
That's
not something,
beautiful.
You know. But I think,
beautiful.
You know, so there's a real connection, and there's been in Minnesota here when we got involved with some people back in the late 80s.
Yeah.
There was Whisper, the women who were talking about exploitation. They had the same office right next door to Minnesota Coalition for Battered Women.
It's coming Thursday.
And that whole dynamic between what's going on with prostitution and what's going on with battered women is very similar.
Very similar.
Because it's like I'm in a trap,
He's in
and
control.
I don't see it.
Yeah.
And I think that this is where I've got to stay.
And well, they feel like they have to stay there because they don't know there's a place for them to go.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. We have to make sure that people know there's places to go and help to be gotten.
Yeah.
There's a lot of help out here now in our country. The United States is doing really good. I think they're changing a lot of the laws.
Yeah.
I mean, I just hope to God that they change the laws and arrest the pimps and the Johns instead of the girl. Help the girl get some schooling and help her get on her feet and help her get off of drugs and help her mind get straightened out. And arrest the Johns that are buying and sellers that are selling, which are the pimps.
Well,
wouldn't that be great?
When we started something called Speaking Truths on Prostitution in 1990, here's where I saw what was happening. I saw that the child abuse issue was being addressed. I mean, we were finally coming to terms with the fact that it was actually happening, and it shouldn't be happening. And anybody abusing a child should have to deal with that. They should be arrested or get help or whatever. There was also the whole thing of domestic violence, and we were starting to have places for battered women to go, and starting to address that batterers needed to be dealt with. But here's the thing that I think we're dealing with, the two of us, in this issue. When you just mentioned Johns, you just mentioned customers.
Yeah, customers.
See, to me, a woman who is dancing in a strip club is basically being abused.
Oh, of course, I agree.
And she might not believe that because she's been told otherwise. But what we're doing is we're allowing men to go into that strip club and take advantage of her. We've even got the lap dancing now.
Yes, which is the most disgusting thing I've ever experienced. I actually went into one of those places by mistake.
Okay.
Whew.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't believe it.
But if we've got famous people, you've dealt with famous people.
Yes.
High-paying athletes, other people going to these places, are we prepared to say, you are in the process by going there of abusing young people from this state. You are a child abuser. Are we ready to say that?
I am.
Yeah. Well, not many people are ready to say that, because if we say that, I mean, the columnists
all these big shots that are going to these clubs.
The columnists for the Minneapolis Star Tribune say we can't touch that aspect of the athletic world. You know, if we started touching that, we would have all kinds of stories.
Well, we do have all kinds of stories.
We've got all kinds of stories.
I got stories about Sam Snead and Arnold Palmer that'll knock your socks off.
Right.
I mean, let's get real.
And thank you for saying that, because
right there.
Here's what I've learned from this. We think we're doing these athletes and these other famous people and all the people that go to strip clubs a favor by allowing them to do this.
Shh, don't say nothing.
Yeah. But in the long run, everybody gets hurt.
Those girls are getting hurt in
there.
The
girls are the first to get hurt.
Yes, they are.
But I've worked with a guy who ran strip clubs.
Okay.
For 15 years.
Okay.
And he said he used mind control techniques.
That's right.
And that he ruined the lives of 350 girls. And every one of those girls believed that she had gotten into it herself.
By herself.
By herself. Yeah. When he actually manipulated the whole thing.
Yeah, they mind game. They warped her mind. Do you remember I just have to ask you, do you remember the little 7-year-old girl that was picked up at the lamplighter and taken and molested? Do you remember that story?
No, I don't remember that story.
It's last year, I believe it's last year. There's a laundromat that butts up against this club called the Lamplighter. And it's a, what do you call it, one of those lap dance places, which I actually was going to meet somebody, and we actually went in there for a beer.
Okay.
Okay, by accident. And when I got in there, and I'd never been I'd been in strip clubs years ago, 30, 40 years ago. Just, whatever. I even danced the go-go dances back in the 60s. But anyway, I looked and I saw these women up over the top of these men, and I'm thinking, what in the God's name are they doing? And then they said it was a lap dance place. I said, what are you kidding me? It wasn't 3 weeks later. 3 weeks later, the little girl from the laundromat had wandered over. Not, in other words, she didn't wander over. The guy from the bar left the bar drinking, went into the laundry room and told the little girl in the back by the game machines, do you want to see this little puppy out in the car? So the little girl followed him out. She was a little Oriental girl. And the mother was busy with the laundry. And the little girl followed him out to his car. He put her in the truck and took her to his house and raped her. And she escaped out the window and ran. I don't know, the neighbors or something. Anyway, the police involved and everything. They took him to jail. Okay? But here you go. You got a laundromat next door to a brothel.
Yeah.
You might as well say it's a whorehouse, because that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're turning tricks over there as bold as they can be. And you can take me to court if you like, because I'm ready for you. Lamplighter. Up there's.
Yeah.
I'm sick of that place. That place is disgusting. It shouldn't even be here. And I spoke up at that meeting that they had downtown. And I spoke up and said, this is the most horrifying place I've ever seen, that you could have these young little girls. They can't be 19, 20, 21 years old maybe at the most. Their brain isn't even connected at the middle of the brain isn't even connected yet to what, 20?
Prefrontal cortex.
What age is that?
Well, girls have to be 22, 23 before their brain is matured.
Well, these
and
girls are
boys,
21 years old.
Yeah.
And it's not even connected yet. They're in there crawling around the stage like little animals, and these guys are lusting, and it's like disgusting.
Yeah.
And our city lets it happen.
Yeah, right.
They give them license. So what are we supposed to do about that?
Well, that's until the parents and the grandparents, we parents and grandparents, we have stepped aside. We've become a passive audience. We don't like what's on TV. We don't do anything about it.
Right,
we don't like what's happening and what we're talking about. We don't do anything about it. And pretty soon, people that are making money and getting their own way, they just find a new way. Now, this strip club guy that I'm telling you about, he went down to South Carolina, and he worked in a club where the guy who had managed the club before he got there had kicked out a fellow who was trying to do too much, one of the customers. Oh. This guy was a lawyer.
Yeah.
The guy went home, got a gun, came back, and shot the strip club manager dead.
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh.
So this fellow that I know got there, he started managing the strip club. Well, what he found was in South Carolina, and I think this has gone all over the country now, that if one girl went a little further with the guys and she was making more money, that pretty much set the other girls up to do the same thing.
Well, sure it
You know,
does.
if you go so far, then you make the money. If you withhold yourself, you don't make much money. So that just pulls people in because they're already on a slippery slide.
Well, yeah,
right?
they are. They are, definitely. It's definitely, that makes so much sense.
So
us parents and grandparents need to start speaking out.
We need to
calling
speak
our
out.
representatives
we
and
need
calling them.
We need to face the truth. We've got, it's like in Germany. In Germany in 1930, two things were happening. Hitler and the Nazis were getting more and more control, and they were doing some good things for Germany. Their economy was growing. People were getting longer vacations. They started to feel like, hey, we're kind of getting out of this hole we were in after World War I.
Right.
The problem was that Hitler was also